So yeah, we have an outline for the presentation today. So we have a couple of slides with a sort of an introduction for influenza, and then we're going to present the objectives for the presentation today. We're going to cover two projects. The first one is about the prevalence and seasonality of influenza in breeding hares, and the second one is an assessment of the effect of sow vaccination on the level of influenza at weaning. We're going to have a summary of each of one of the projects, implications and limitations. To start with influenza, we know influenza is an important disease. We know last year there is a paper that showed up that even subclinical infections can be important. They show that there is a reduction in average daily gain, and also there is an increase in feed conversion ratio, and the impact can be greater if the infection occurs early in life in the piglets. Also, we study influenza because it's always a public health concern. There is always the risk for emerging new strains that can be or can have a potential pandemic. Studying influenza is complex. We know that the nature of the virus constrains a lot of limitations when we're trying to assess how the virus is evolving, and the main mechanisms through the virus is evolving is the antigenic drift, which is the changing in nucleotides over time, and also influenza can swap genes or segments between two viruses when the two viruses infect the same cells together. So this segmented nature of the virus gives the virus to have a lot of variation in a short period of time. Since in USA the most common practice to control influenza is vaccination, but still we saw that the virus is circulating. I have this graph in the bottom right of the slide just to show you that we have a lot of diversity even within the same subtype, and also a lot of divergence within each clade. So the objective for today's presentation is assess the prevalence and seasonality of influenza in breeding hares, since we feel we need to understand more what's going on, what's the level of influenza in these farms, and trying to understand what's the role of the breeding hares in all the chain of pig production. And the second objective for today is trying to assess the effect of sow vaccination on the odds of detecting influenza in pigs at weaning. So we're going to start with the first project today. To assess this first question, we start to compile data from 2011 until today, and we enroll 72 hares that submit at least one sample or at least 1 month during this period of time. The samples came from pigs prior to weaning, and the type of samples that we include in the analysis were oral fluids mainly, nasal swabs, and lung tissues. We test these samples to detect a matrix gene of influenza through RT-PCR, and when was possible, isolation of the virus was assessed, and then Sanger sequencing of HX segments. How we analyze the data? We started calculating the monthly hare prevalence, which we divided the number of positive hares in each month divided by the total hares submitted in that month. We also calculate the cumulative proportion of positive hares in each month. So we sum up how the farms that we're getting positive in each month and divided by the total that's submitted in a certain year. And also, one of the main questions in this project and for today is trying to assess if there is a trend, if there is an increase in over time in the level of or in the prevalence of influenza across these 4 years in each group of hares, and also if there is a pattern which is repeatable. We call that seasonality. So we applied a Fourier regression in this case, which is a linear regression that includes a sine function and a cosine function. The sine function is pretending to describe the peak of the prevalence across time, and the cosine function is pretended to describe the dip of the prevalence across the time. And also we want to see how different can be the prevalence between seasons. So we average the monthly prevalence in each season and compare between seasons in all years, including in this analysis. And also we have the sequences of the virus that were isolated out of these samples in each hair. We start up with the results of this project. In this graph, I want to point out that each of the rows, in this case, represents a farm. So in the left side, you have 1 to 72 rows, and each column represents a month. So we started the data compiled from June 2011 until August this year, and each red square represents a positive herd in each month. The green squares represents negatives, and the blank spaces is where there were no samples submitted. So the thing that I want to point out in this graph is, I'm not pretending you to see all the information at once. Just I want to point out that we have a we have a group of herds that submit samples very nice across all the years. But we have also another group that we don't have too much information previously, and another group that is starting to be enrolled in the study. And also, I want to point out in here is the fact that we start to see the red squares clustering together in the colder months of the year. So we can appreciate this pattern better in this slide. In this slide, in the x-axis, I put the months, the time, from June 2011 until August from this year. And in this axis, I put the percentage of positive herds represented in here in the green line. So the green line is the percentage of the prevalence of positive herds. And in the other axis, I put the number of herds that were submitting in that month. So the stack column represents, in the dark blue, the number of positive herds, and in the light blue, the number of negative herds. So the total in the column represents the total farm submitting in each month. So here, we start to see a pattern. So we see a peak that is rising during fall, staying up during winter and spring, and going down to the lowest values in the summer months, especially July, August. And that pattern seems to be repeatable. So we can see that across the 4 years of the study, the same pattern. To put this in terms of statistical analysis, we do the prevalence ratio calculation, which is represented in this table. We divided the seasons March to May in spring. Winter, we put December to February. In fall, we put September, November, and we consider summer from June to August. We compare the average prevalence in each season to the summer as a reference, and then we calculate the prevalence ratio for each of these comparisons. So the prevalence ratio in here means the prevalence was 73% higher during spring compared to summer. And the same in winter, 48% higher compared to the prevalence that we saw, excuse me, that we saw in summer. And this was statistically significant. So we have different level of influenza or different prevalence of positive herds according to the season. Also, we want to test statistically if the cyclicity or the repeatable pattern of influenza that we were seeing in the previous graph is significant. So we put the Fourier regression analysis, and we put time to test if there is a trend of the prevalence to going up or down, or is it staying the same. We already saw that it is staying the same across time. So the trend was not significant in our analysis with this group of herds. We test the peak if it, in how many months is significant repeatable, and we got a significance in here. So we have the peak repeatable every year during for the increase in prevalence in each season, and also the decade of the prevalence during the transition from spring to summer. It was significant for 6 months as well. Another way to look at the data and for the purposes of answer another question that we have with this group of hares is how many hares can get positive within 1 year. So we consider the hares that submitted at least 6 times in each year, and we have the number of hares included in each year in here. The y-axis represents the cumulative percentage of positive hares, and you have in the x-axis the months. So each line represents a year, and what I'm trying to point in here is we start with a certain level of positive hares in summer, and we are summing up hares getting positive until we reach 70 to 80% total at the end of the summer in the next year. So this gives us an idea that almost every hare experiences one sampling event or 1 month being positive for influenza. In terms of sequencing analysis, what we did in here is we're trying to put each year in each row, and each column represents a different virus strain. So we're trying to count how many farms follow in each category. So we put the number of farms out of the parentheses, and the percentage or the proportion inside. The message for this table is that we have 3 main viruses circulating in this group of hares. We have an H3 cluster 4, we have an H1 delta 1, and we have an H1 gamma 1. To put this together, and as a summary of this first project, influenza, at least in this group of hares, seems to be endemic, and we have a seasonal pattern as well. And remember, the samples were collected from pigs, not from sows. Influenza, we saw that influenza starts to rise during fall and peaks in winter and spring months. And we have the lowest levels during summer. And the main claims circulated that we found were H3 cluster 4, the H1, delta 1, and gamma 1. What are the implications of these findings for this first project? We realized that the year-round surveillance is very valuable for the purpose of understanding more of the epidemiology of influenza in breeding hares. We can also use this data to identify risk periods where we can allocate our intervention strategies to reduce the level of influenza in weaned piglets. And also, we have to consider the limitations that we have in this study. Remember that not all hares submitted the same type of samples and the same number of samples, so that leads us to a different ability to detect a certain level of virus in each hare. So we call that sensitivity to detect the certain levels of virus in each hare. But still, it's a good study to consider. With that, I would like to jump to the second project. In this project, we went a bit more deep and trying to understand what is the role of sow vaccination in the odds of detecting or reducing the level of influenza at weaning in piglets. For this project, we enrolled 52 farms voluntarily. We didn't do any random selection of the farms, and we enrolled the farms based on the presentation of influenza they have in the last 12 months, and also the vaccination protocol they were using at that time. We consider vaccination protocols a type of vaccine as the main predictors for this study, and we follow up each hare for 6 months. How we do the sampling in this case, we sample weaned piglets, and we collect 30 nasal swabs, and these swabs were tested by Pulse of 3 in the University of Minnesota VDL. How we analyze the data? we consider a generalized linear mixed model. Logistic regression in this case is a complex model, and we use as an outcome, if the group has at least one pool positive, we consider that group positive or negative for influenza. So we use a binary outcome, positive, negative for influenza as a group level. And then we use as a predictors, as a fixed predictors, we use vaccination protocol type of vaccine as a univariate approach. And we have to include the effect of season or time in this study to adjust for that effect. And also, the farms were different, but they were for 6 different production systems, so we have a hair effect in this as well, so we have to include that in the model as well to adjust the model. We're starting to see the same graph as before, but in this case, I divided according to vaccination protocol each group of hares. So the first group in here is the pre-Faro vaccination hares. The second one in the bottom, in your left side, is the ones that were doing max vaccination. And here we have a group that do a combination of strategies. They were doing pre-Faro and they decided to do a max vaccination as well. And here we have the group that they were not doing any vaccination at that time for influenza. So the thing that two things to see in here is, the first thing is the timing on each, the sampling frame in each of the hares is different. And also, we start to see some more red squares in the group that were not vaccinated. So we're going to test it if this, in fact, this is statistical significant. So we're starting to see as a general, just put the farms that were vaccinating in one group and the farms that were not vaccinating in the other group. And here I represented the percentage of positive groups in each group, or the percentage of positive wing groups in each of the vaccination groups, and the red line represents the group that were not vaccinated, and the blue line represents the group that were vaccinated. So visually, we're starting to see a difference in there, in the proportion of positive groups that winning, and we test that with a mixed model, and we found that vaccination can reduce the odds of positive groups in as 74%, and that was statistically significant. So to go more deeper, we want to see if there is any difference between protocols. In this table, I have in each row the vaccination protocol, and in the first column in here, I have the odds ratios, and in the parentheses, I have the percentage of reduction of the odds of having positive groups. So pre-Faro vaccination was effective. The odds ratio at 0.18. And in terms of percentage of reduction of the odds of having positive groups at winning is 82%. 77% for mass vaccination, comparing to the reference here, no vaccination. And if we compare both protocols, we found no difference between the protocols. So both protocols are effective in the way that, in the possibilities of having positive groups at winning. We did the same with the type of vaccine, and in this case, autogenous vaccine has a 76% reduction in the odds of having positive groups, and this was with a p-value with a borderline effect. In the case of commercial vaccine, we have an 80% reduction, and if we compare two protocols, we have no statistical difference. So commercial vaccines in this study was effective in reducing the odds of having positive groups, and we have a trend for autogenous vaccines. And both vaccines were not different statistically. Another question that we have with this data is, so now, we know now that vaccination and considering type of vaccine or the protocol can reduce the number of positive groups at winning. And also, we want to know if the level of the virus within group can be different. So since we test in pools of 3, we average the number of pools in here for each group. In red represented the vaccinated group, and in blue in red represented the non-vaccinated group, and in blue represented the vaccinated one. And here in the y-axis is the average number of positive pools across all the groups that come from each vaccinated or non-vaccinated hares. When we do the comparison with a linear mix model, we found that we have a significant reduction in the number of positive pools in each group given to vaccination. With that, I would like to summarize the findings of this study. We found that sow vaccination decreased influenza in pigs at weaning, either the number of groups that you are weaning from your herd and also the number of samples that are positive within each group. Also, we found that both protocols are effective for reducing influenza at weaning, and we found that commercial vaccine was effective in decreasing influenza at weaning. As well, we found a trend for autogenous vaccine, and we didn't find any difference either between two vaccine protocols or even two types of vaccines analyzed in this study. What are the implications of these findings? We believe that vaccination seems to be an effective tool in reducing the level of influenza at weaning, but of course we need more analysis to have a more in-depth and more understanding of this effect. The limitation that we have in here is that we didn't select the farms randomly. So we just asked to the producers if they want to participate, so they were being enrolled in the study voluntarily. And we just follow up the farms for 6 months. So we don't know what happened in previous months or on the after during the sampling frame in this study.